Many people have transferred land to their girlfriends when they are in love. When they differ, they go to court saying she never paid anything. Let her show what she paid. No, there's nothing like that. Were you aware you can force the person who you gave money to buy you land to transfer that land to you? Now you know. What is the law? Ensure that your lease is registered. If you do not register your lease, you are wasting your time. Episode 5. We are dealing with the question of land. Today, we are dealing with the transfer of land. Every time you bought the land, that land must be transferred to you. What is the procedure and what are the instruments that need to be done? We go to section 43 of the Land Act. It says in this part, a transfer includes the following: a conveyance, that is a transfer; an assignment, that is a transfer; a transfer of land, that is a transfer; a transfer of lease, that's number 4, or other instruments used in the disposition of interest in land by way of transfer. These are the instruments you can use. There are 5: conveyance, assignment, transfer of land, transfer of lease, or any other instrument. 2, a proprietor, that is the owner of the land, may transfer land, a lease, or a charge to any person, including to himself. You can transfer land to yourself, with or without consideration, by an instrument in the prescribed form. It is not mandatory that somebody must pay. Many people have transferred land to their girlfriends when they are in love. When they differ, they go to court saying she never paid anything. Let her show what she paid. No, there's nothing like that. Section 43(2) says you can transfer land with or without consideration. What is important is an instrument. Is there an agreement? Is there a transfer form to that yours truly, who later becomes your biggest monster you don't want to see? Payment is not mandatory. 3, the transfer shall be completed by the registration of the transferee as proprietor of the land, lease, or charge. Wow. Vivian, wacha tuangalie. Hiyo ni mbaya. The instrument must be registered. Many of you have sale agreements in your house. That is not land. Many of you have transfer forms signed. That land is not yours. Many of you have all forms of instruments, conveyancing. Listen, this is killer punch. The transfer shall be completed by the registration of the transferee as the proprietor of the land, or lease, or charge. That person must be registered by the registrar of lands as the owner. Until that is done, that is not the owner of the land. So very many of you have agreements with your boyfriend, with your husband, with your wife, with your what? that I have given you this land. That's not your land. Until it is registered. And in the authorities, we shall be seeing what is registration shortly. 4. The transferee of a charge may require the charger to execute the transfer for the purpose of acknowledging the amount due under the charge at the date of execution of the transfer. If the land you are being given is charged to a bank, that person must discharge that charge. So very many of you are cheated that I have given you this land, but the charge is still there. So number 44, when does the transfer take effect? Section 44 says, a transfer shall not be expressed to take effect on the happening of any event or on the fulfillment of any condition or at any future time. You cannot say this transfer will take effect when I die. This transfer will take effect when she gives birth with me. This transfer will take effect to a future occurrence. Once it has been registered at the lands office, it takes effect immediately. It is irreversible. You cannot again go back and say, oh, I've changed my mind. Only a dead woman or a dead man cannot change his mind. Transfer takes effect immediately. What can be transferred? We can also transfer leases. A lease is an agreement, we talked about it, between a government or the owner and you with the timelines. That lease, for the lease to become effective. Section transfer of leases. It must be registered. If your lease is not registered, it has not taken effect. Section 46. What is the effect of a transfer on agreement of leases? The moment the lease has been effected, the moment the lease has been registered, liability shifts to the person who is now the new owner. What is the law? Ensure that your lease is registered. If you do not register your lease, you are wasting your time. What is the authority? Let us look at the authorities of transfer of land and leases. In the Environment and Land Court at Eldoret, Environment and Land Case number 206 of 2017, Justice E.M. Washe delivered a judgment in December 8th, 2025. This is a case between Eunice Ngige and Damaris Njeri and the County Land Registrar was in Gishu and the Attorney General. What are the facts of this matter? In paragraph 2, the plaintiff pleaded that she purchased a quarter of an acre on the property known as this and this from one Milika Wangare courier through an agreement for sale. She proceeds to say the vendor, that's the courier, passed away and the entire property known as this was transmitted to the defendant. However, the plaintiff did prepare and execute an addendum to the agreement for sale. Unfortunately, upon paying all the statutory charges to facilitate the preparation of the completion document, the defendant failed to do that. So, this is that case. What did the judge do after reading this, the judge identified the following issues. 1. Was there a binding lawful contract between the plaintiff and the late Milka Wangare Kuria for a quarter of an acre? The first issue for determination is whether the plaintiff herein has a binding agreement. The judge found out, in other words, the vendors in the agreement for sale dated were not the administrators of the estate. Based on this fact, this court is of the considered view that the vendors in the agreement for sale dated this date lacked capacity or legal rights within the property known as this within Malael Farm. Question number 2. Was there a binding lawful addendum? The judge found out that the court makes a finding that the agreement dated 6th of 10th, 2007 between the plaintiff and the defendant is binding and lawful. Question number 3. Is the plaintiff entitled to an order of transfer of the portion measuring these acres within the property? The judge says in section paragraph 61, according to the findings in issue number 2 here and above, it is clear that one of the terms in this agreement, dated 6th of October 2007, is an undertaking to execute and provide all the relevant documents that could enable the plaintiff transfer the portion of land measuring 3/4 of an acre from the defendant. The agreement confirms that the consideration which the plaintiff was to pay was duly received and acknowledged. The defendant, having received the said money, is now under a duty to ensure that all the completion documents that could facilitate the transfer of the portion purchased by the plaintiff are availed. Unfortunately, this clearly did not happen. And despite a number of efforts by the plaintiff, the first defendant is not cooperating to ensure the transaction is complete. As such, this court has no other option but to enforce the terms of the agreement dated 6th of October 2007. So the judge is saying, and this is what is facing very many people, you have a sale agreement, you are paid everything, this man does not take you to the land control board. You cannot get the transfer. Kwa kijiji wanasema nunulia mzee koti ndiye akuchukue kwa DC. You buy a coat. Tomorrow he says no, buy the mama suka. No, they do not want to execute the documents of transfer. Very many people, millions of Kenyans have sale agreements, they have payments like this one. The court has found out and listened to the court. As such, this court has no option but to enforce the terms of the agreement. He says, conclusion. In conclusion, this court makes the following orders in the determination of the present suit. The plaintiff herein is the legitimate and lawful owner of that portion of land. He had a sale agreement, he had paid everything, he had completed. The court has declared him the owner. 2, the defendant is hereby directed and or ordered to undertake the subdivision on that property and register the said mutation within a period of 60 days from the date of this judgment. The judge has ordered this person who doesn't want to transfer the land to you to go subdivide, provide mutation within 60 days. Were you aware you can force the person who you gave money to buy your land to transfer that land to you? Now you know. This is a ruthless judge. C, the judge says, upon the subdivision and registration of the mutation relating to that land, the defendant is hereby directed to prepare and execute and avail all the transfer documents of the portion measuring this of the land within 60 days. The judge is ruthless. After subdivision, you must prepare all the transfer documents within 60 days. The judge indeed knows how Kenyans are. You give such an order to a conman, he disappears to Uganda. He disappears to Congo. He disappears and you can never get him. Suppose this man that the court has told you, go and he prepares, he refuses to do. What does the court? How has the Environment Court gotten the power? In the event the defendant shall fail to comply with this order, the plaintiff shall be at liberty to procure a licensed surveyor to undertake the subdivision of the property at her own costs, and the Deputy Registrar of the Environment and Land Court is hereby directed to execute all the relevant documents to facilitate the subdivision and transfer of the portion measuring this within the said property to the plaintiff. The defendant is condemned to pay costs of the suit, delivered virtually at Eldoret ELC Court on 8th day of December 2025. Justice Emmanuel M. Washe. What are the lessons here? If you have paid terms of the agreement, but the seller is mischievous and you are paid, you walk to the Environment and Land Court. Sue that person. The court will order that person to transfer the land to you. If he fails, the court will order a deputy registrar who is an administrator in the judiciary to sign those documents as if that is the owner of the land. The deputy registrar will sign the survey forms, transfer forms, the way we have looked at them. They will be taken to the land registrar. The land registrar will issue you a titled deed. That is a certificate of title or a certificate of lease. What good news do you expect from court helicopter other than this one? You have been pleading with the seller, please. In Kisii, Nyamira, where I come from, wanasema, tafadhali twende nipe number. Everywhere in this country, sellers are holding people hostage. The sellers have the money. The buyers have the documents. Sometimes the documents are half done. They cannot get title deeds. Hallelujah, now you can get it. This is the greatest news, that the courts, the ELC court, within a very short time, will get you a title deed before you die. Okay, Danstan Omari, always a pleasure getting you these. Transfers can be done by the owner of the land, or transfers can be done by the court itself. Thank you.